welcome to the creeper tutorial. So what you're going to make is this creeper doll. It's going to be it's just this little doll that I made the pattern for. And if you either bought the pattern at LCAD or if you want to buy the pattern, this is the instructions so that you can make it. There will be written instructions with this as well. So just look in the description below for the instructions. So let's get started. This is what the pattern looks like. So if you bought one of these at LCAD, then you can buy the pattern from me somehow. I haven't quite decided how. So either on my Etsy, or you can contact me through my Cat's Pajamas Facebook page and you can get one of these. If not, I can show you how to do the measurements and you can go ahead and do those. So let's get started. So this is what you're going to need. First off, you're obviously going to need the pattern. And you're going to need, I use fleece, so I use Green Fleece. This is the color green that I decided to use. And I also got about a scrap of felt. It's just a scrap piece of felt, so you can get a square blocker if you have one. It has to be about 4 inches by 4 inches wide. And you need your fabric scissors and your paper scissors, and then some pins to hold it down. You'll also need a hand sewing needle and some thread to match the green thread that you're going to use. So you get your green fleece. If you want to make a blue creeper, that's fine too, but I'm using fleece because it's nice and cuddly. And you go ahead and lay your pattern out. It doesn't really matter if you have a certain grain or anything, but you're gonna be cutting like 16 of these, 4 of these, 6 of these. So you can arrange it in whatever works for you, whatever's the best for you. So I used about 1/3 of a yard. Okay, so now that you got all your stuff cut up, you'll have 16 parts of your creeper leg. You'll have 2 body top and bottoms, you'll have 4 creeper bodies, and you'll have 4 creeper bottom legs, and 6 heads. So they're all just squares or rectangles. And don't worry too much about being really exact, but like I pinned some of them, but I didn't pin some of the other ones. But if you really want to be exact, only cut 2 layers of the fleece at a time and pin it. And that'll help you be exact, and then you'll just unpin and then do it over and over and over again. So next we're going to do is we're going to take one of the creeper heads and we're going to put the creeper face on it, like that. So you want to take your creeper face pattern and your paper scissors and cut out this square right here. Now the reason I'm cutting out the square is so that I have some extra room, so that when we pin him we have some room to go. So this is where you take your scrap piece of felt and you go ahead and pin all around. So see how I'm pinning around in the white, and we're going to cut out the black part. So pin as much as possible. Pin on the white, pin in the black, pin all over. This is similar to what we're going to do when we do an applique, is that we're going to cut the design out as we're cutting the fabric and the pattern. So you can either use your fabric scissors or your paper scissors. I'm going to use my paper scissors because they're pretty sharp. So I'm also going to put a few pins here to hold it down as I cut it. And my pins won't fit in the eyes, but the mouth will be fine. So now just cut it out. So now you cut out your creeper face. So now you notice that your pattern is kind of messed up because it's just a bunch of scraps and stuff. So what you can do, and you can do this with other patterns too, if you want to keep this little pattern, is you can take, like if this was a scrap piece of paper, you could take the scrap piece of paper and you could take your face so you take this paper part of the face and you can just, it doesn't really need to be, just as long as you have enough room to pin, and you can just tape it down with Scotch tape, and then you can reuse it. So just keep doing that, and hopefully the pattern will stay in good condition for a while. So now we have a little creeper face, and we'll take our creeper face and we'll put him on like so. You want to center him kind of in general. If you want to use, you could take this little piece that you took the pattern out of and kind of use it as a template if you're kind of unsure. So this will go in the center of the square. It doesn't want to go there. And then you put the eye and the other eye and the mouth. There you go. Then move the paper. Oh, that should be good. You can kind of eyeball it. It just, see, I think mine is a little too close together. You have to keep in mind that a half an inch all the way around is going to be your seam allowance. So you don't want to put it all the way to the edge. That looks good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and pin that with just a few pins in place. And then we're going to take it over to the sewing machine. And we're going to zigzag all the way around this edge. Just like you would an applique. Pin as much as you feel that you need to. Okay, so now you have your creeper face. So snip off any things you messed up on or whatever. Just kind of clean them up a little bit if you want. And came out pretty good. So now I'm going to show you this little trick that I found out of sewing cubes. What you want to do is, since I have a seam allowance of 1/2, you could make a bigger seam allowance if you feel more comfortable, but I thought 1/2 would be good for this size project. What I do is I actually will cut the corners. I'm going to estimate. Off like that, and then that is my cat. I don't know what she wants. Attention, I suppose. So you cut it off like that so that when you sew them together, you don't have this extra bulk. I found it's really hard for some reason to deal with this, so it ends up like that, sewn together, and it works a lot better. So don't skip this step because it's just so much easier in your life, I promise. So go ahead and do that on all of your pieces. And when I say all of your pieces, I mean like those and those and those and those, like everything. And it just makes it so much easier. Skip this for the top of the legs. So you can do this on the bottom, just like this. But skip it for the top, because we're going to do something different to the top. So I'm just going to, nobody saw that. Alright. So do that. Okay, now we're going to sew them together. So, bodies are all going to go together like this. So, those sides go together. Now, I want you to notice that there's two different kind of textures. So there's smooth and then there's rough. You can't really tell, but try to do all one. So I'm going to actually make the smooth side my right side. And so I'm going to put my smooth sides together so the rough side is facing outward. And then you're going to sew this. Okay, so this is our body. So I sewed all four sides together. And then now we're gonna sew, I'm gonna sew the top and bottom, or at least I'm just gonna sew the top for you to show you guys. So this is why these little squares are really nice. So now you can just take end to end and do that and sew it, and everything will be out of your way. So it gets really confusing when you're trying to like line up where you're sewing, and now you can just line it up and you won't skew the box at all. If you don't believe me, try doing it just with, you know, sewing a square to a square, and you'll see what I mean. So what you want to do on this is, since this is going to be stuffed, you can sew, I want you to sew like all the way around on one square, and then on the other side, you'll leave one side, you'll just sew from like here a little bit and from here a little bit, and then stop. And that way you have an opening to put the stuffing in. So the reason you don't want to just leave one whole side open is because it would be a lot harder for you to sew these corners properly. But you can just sew a little bit and then leave the rest open. If you leave like 1.5 inches, that would be plenty of room. So now I'm going to show you guys how to sew the legs. So you want to take 4 of these and sew them like the body, just like we did. Now we take a bottom and we go ahead and match it up with our little sides. So now we're going to sew that. Okay, now what you want to do is we want to go ahead and snip all of this off. And you'll do this for every piece that you sew together. Just cut it as like 2/8 of an inch. It's pretty narrow. Just make sure not to cut the stitching, because it sucks to have to restitch it. Now this is how you're gonna go ahead and close off the top. So you take your square, and now what you're gonna do is pinch those in and fold it like that. So see how it folds in? So you just poke it in the center and flatten those out, and you're just gonna sew right across the top, 1/2 of an inch as well, and then it'll be like kind of a little present on the top. Okay, so this is something that might happen to you. I forgot to leave an opening, and by forgot I mean I didn't do it on the side I wanted to. So what I'm gonna do is pick one of these sides, and I'm gonna seam rip it open. It's for the legs, you really want to keep an opening on the long sides, because these short sides, they're going to be harder to stuff through, and it's just easier. On this side, you can have the corners nice and neat and just leave the little middle open. Just don't forget to do that, because seam ripping it makes it a lot harder, and it's more likely to break over time because the edges aren't finished. So that size hole will be good. So now flip it inside out. Be very gentle. And you end up with this. Now sometimes you'll have little hole like that. Just try not to poke more holes than you need, but just go ahead and do that. And then you'll have the top just like this. So see how it's like a little present? And what you'll do is you'll just fold this in just a teeny tiny bit. What's also easier to do is to actually leave this as 1/2 an inch seam allowance, because fleece is a lot harder to make a little roll. So you'll stuff this and then roll it just like that and get all this out. And then you'll whip stitch that up. So let's sew the rest. Okay, now that you have all your pieces sewn together, it should look like this. So you have a bunch of cubes and your legs. So now I already cut off all of the excess, So now we're going to turn them inside out, and then we're going to stuff them. So see, what I did here is I left an opening on the body, and this is going to be the bottom back side. I left a hole on the opening on the bottom back side of the creeper head, and then on each side of the leg I left an opening. So also, one really quick tip, make sure when you do your face that you sew all of these up on each side. You want your opening to be the ugly part. So let's go ahead and start turning them inside. So now that you turned everything inside out, you want to take like a stick or a pencil, or you can take the end of your scissors, and you're going to turn the corners out. Sometimes you can do this with your finger, just like reaching in and poking at the corner just with your finger. Just try not to press too hard, because you don't want to make a hole, and so make sure to just do that on all the corners. Alright, so now that you have all of everything turned out, all the corners are turned out, then you're going to go ahead and take your stuffing and stuff them all. So I'm using Polyfil or polyester fill. Looks like this. It's kind of cheapy feeling, but you can get the cotton stuff, but it's a little more expensive. So just you kind of guesstimate. You can like scrunch it up in a ball and kind of feel how firm or soft it is. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the legs, and then do the body, and etc., etc. Okay, so now that you have all of your pieces stuffed, what I would say as far as tips on stuffing them is, especially with stuffing squares, is you want to make it so that it doesn't distort the square too much. So see how it kind of still has that square shape even though it's a little rounded. Same thing with the creeper head here. It still has like this little bulging right here, but it's still kind of retaining that square shape. So you don't want to overstuff him. Squishy, 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 squishy. So you don't want to overstuff him. But so now we're going to put our creeper together, but first we have to close up all our little holes. So you want to use the whip stitch, which is you either want to use the slip stitch or the whip stitch. And these are two stitches that I've gone over in my hand sewing tutorials. So go ahead, and if you need to review those, or if you already know what I'm talking about, you can go ahead and do that, and I will see you in a minute. Hi guys! So I finished sewing up the little holes, so that's what it's going to look like. And so it's not like gorgeous. The slip stitch would be better, but whip stitching is faster. So, and now we're going to put our creeper together! Yay! So really there's not a particular order that you have to put these things together, except for, everything goes on the body. So other than like I said, like the ugly part is where the back is going to be, so you want to make sure that's in the back, and then do that. And then the legs are going to go on like this. So see how it's like overhanging? So it'll be like that. And what I do is I just put the ugly side on the inside. So this is where my ugly side is. And then I put it on the inside like this. So creeper body, ugly side, back, body. And you're going to put two, like, yeah. Rawr, kick, kick. Okay, and then I just kind of like whip stitch it all the way around. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to put his head on first. So go ahead, his head is designed to be a little bigger than his body, so just kind of squish it down and see where you want it. Start at the back. I mean, it doesn't really matter where you start, but I'm going to start at the back. I'm going to go ahead and do this. So see how it's attached, and then I'm just gonna whip stitch it all the way around. At the end of the day, you're not gonna see any of this because it's just gonna be like squished down in the ether of the stuffed animal. You're really not gonna see much of this, but you do want to make sure you're kind of staying even with it. So just keep that in mind as you go around, that it kind of, and you can keep a rhythm, or you can do it really, really methodical, or you can just kind of do it because, to be honest, the irregularities that happen naturally are kind of cool, because that means that it was done by hand with love and care and a little bit of tenderness. So I like that, honestly, but if you're looking for something a little more professional, or you're making it for somebody that is a little OCD, then be really meticulous about it. And it'll be cool. So just whatever kind of personality you are, be who you are. Okay, his head is on, so you kind of see, okay. You can kind of see that it's just whip stitched around, and you notice that now his head kind of, now you notice that his head kind of doesn't stick out as much. I don't really know what to do about that, except, you know, like that. You do that. So then we're going to go ahead and attach the legs. You're just going to attach them the same way, but you're going to go around the outside, like around here. Like, it's basically going to be like across here, down to the bottom of the creeper, across, and then up. And just, it's going to keep them like really on. So that's basically all you're trying to do right now, is just to keep them really on. Okay, so here's his legs sewn on. So I don't really know. Like, see, it's just, I mean, it's just whip stitched around. See how you can't really tell, like, there you go, there's some stuff you can tell. That doesn't look very good, but the imperfections, you know, that's what I mean by the imperfections are pretty good. So, that's one leg. So then we're gonna put the other one right here. And I will be right back. Hi guys, so our creeper is done! Yay! So I think he turned out pretty good. This is his legs. So he can, you know, and he sits on his own. I mean, he can sit on my hand, so. And he's really soft and cuddly. So this is my creeper. I'm going to be selling it at LCAD, and I hope you guys had fun at the convention. Hopefully I'll have convention videos and stuff up soon. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Leave a comment below and tell me what I could be doing better, or if you liked this, or if you didn't like this. Just let me know. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.